Cavalier faithful, welcome on into the Cleveland Pulse YouTube channel. We are back with another Cavalier upload. Really quickly, at the start of this video, I want you to think. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and answer these questions in your head. I got two questions for you. Do you believe that the duo of Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland can coexist at a high enough level to get this team to where they want to go in the playoffs, the NBA playoffs? Think about it, answer it in your head. Yes, no, maybe so. Is the potential there? Maybe it's not. Let's move on from somebody. However you want to answer it. Question number two. Does the duo of Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen instill the confidence in you that them two together on the court can take us to the next level in the playoffs? In your opinion, answer it again. Maybe it does. Absolutely. Maybe not. Skeptical. Maybe you don't know. Throw your answers to these questions in the comments. And here's a bonus question for you, because I think that this gets overlooked in the shuffle of, the two guards, the two bigs, the non-shooting bigs, the two small guards. It gets overlooked, this third part, that they are all starters. Do all four of them work together? Not only have we segmented it off into DG and Donovan and Evan and JA, but you have to look at this roster as a totality in one of the biggest off seasons that we've seen in a long time. And I feel like we've said that the past couple of years because, truthfully, it should have been the last couple of years. Maybe not after the play-in games. Maybe you just, have some leeway there. But after you get bounced in the first round, that should have been a big offseason last year. It was a big offseason as far as acquisitions, as far as, contracts being signed, money being paid, didn't really materialize in the playoffs. So you might be wondering, what's going on in this video? From our last upload, this is from Waterboy ENT in our comments, which I appreciate all the love on that last video. And just keep flooding the comments, hitting that like button, make sure you're subscribed. He says, can you make a video about these trade rumors with Garland and Allen? Thoughts on getting Ingram, Kuzma, maybe Miles Bridges? I don't know, just some pieces that could help? Absolutely, I can. I'm just coming on here for a less structured talk. We're going to get to offseason moves. How do you fix the Cleveland Cavaliers? Trades that need to be made, trades that should be made. What are we going to do with our draft selection? Is DG going to ask out if Donovan signs an extension? That's the first part to me. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure a lot of you have. It is very bizarre that a player who has been an all-star before, received a max extension off of his rookie contract, and who's been to the postseason the last 2 years, it is very bizarre to me, however you slice it, that it gets leaked from Clutch Sports that Darius Garland's Clutch Sports on behalf of Darius Garland is going to request a trade if Donovan Mitchell re-signs. Well, that puts you in a sticky situation because, first of all, is that true? You haven't really heard any evidence that it's not true. You haven't really heard anyone refuting that statement that this is not really a valid scenario. You haven't heard from DG himself. Here's my thing. Clutch Sports has garnered this reputation of basically this, in my opinion. I'm sure they make good deals. I'm sure they have good relationships with their players, but this is one of the first rumors out of the offseason. Donovan Mitchell hasn't even put pen to the paper yet, and you're telling me that, well, Darius is going to request a trade because we don't know if he could reach his full value as far as, his potential, whatever it may be. I'm going to be honest. Let's say that is true, and let's say that has come from Darius Garland. That's soft, man. That's soft. And I hope it's not the case. I sincerely do. But you haven't been the player since you've received this max. And yes, it is a 1-season sample size. I understand. But the craziest part to me is that people act like, and when I say people, you guys know who I mean. People act like this is the first bad year of dude's career. His rookie season was terrible. He was terrible as a rookie. I don't care, rebuild anything, whatever it may be. However, you can still play good if you're on a losing team. Actually, it's probably easier. It's probably easier to play good on a losing team because you don't have to share the basketball. You don't have to play at the highest level. You don't have to have stakes, up to your eyeballs as far as, we got to win these games. It's funny how kind of, as soon as Don comes along, not even last year, but as soon as there's expectations of we got to put a first round playoff series win in the books, you got to see who could really step up to the table and deliver. But with that being said, you have that to juggle right off the rip. Now, like I said, I'm not going to get into specifics of trades. We're not going to show the trade machine today. We will eventually. I got to do some more research. I have to get leaks and rumors and figure out where, who is really garnering want from Darius Garland. We know that San Antonio could be involved. We know that the New Orleans Pelicans could be involved, likely as a front runner. We know that Minnesota has been interested in Garland since he's been into the league. They're still in the playoffs, so we have to let that pan out for now. But what is this value? What do other general managers around the league really think of Darius Garland? You see one report that general managers might value Darius Garland more than Trae Young this offseason. I like Darius Garland. I think he's been a good Cavalier. I don't think he's been a great Cavalier. He's been an all-star once. I think he's been a serviceable NBA basketball player. I think that his performance this year as the highest paid player was egregious. I understand he's dealt with injuries, but hey, man, it's the reality of the situation. I don't really think Trae Young is less desirable than DG. That's just my opinion. I think Trae Young's a better basketball player. And he's basically been the first option everywhere. So if Darius is the first option, maybe he surprises some people like he did a couple seasons ago. So as far as this comment brought up, I feel like a lot of people are saying Ingram for Darius Garland, maybe even a straight swap, however you want to, move the salaries around. Maybe there's other pieces involved. I've seen some negativity about Brandon Ingram on the timeline. And for he being someone that I wanted maybe 2 years ago on this Cavs roster, I think I've kind of switched my stance on him that he's not a needle mover for what you would need to give up for him. Like a DG and obviously, his salary that comes along with it as well. I think it's interesting that this comment brings up Kyle Kuzma because I think you get a similar level of production out of Kuzma than you do with Ingram. Obviously, they're kind of, volume dominant. And here's the thing. Brandon Ingram's like a taller Donovan Mitchell to me. And that's not like the end of the world, even though I think that Donovan is a really talented basketball player. I obviously don't think Brandon Ingram's at his level, but it just seems like, okay, he needs the ball in his hands. He needs to, be the walking bucket, so to say. And when you've seen him kind of have to share the basketball more in New Orleans with a little bit more of nuance they have in their roster, he hasn't really been elite. Can he be that player? Absolutely. I think he definitely can be. Is he the fit for us? I'd have to really think about it. And right now I want to say no, as far as him being the, the sole off-season acquisition, the person that we need to target most. Kuzma is a more interesting piece. I mean, I was interested in Kuzma and Bradley Beal before he went to Phoenix. This is a couple years ago. So something you have to look into there. Will we move a Darius Garland to the Nets for, like a McCall Bridges or whatever they else have to offer? Dennis Schroeder, Cam Thomas in the mix. I know Justin, Cam Thomas is his boy. I think he could be an interesting bench piece as far as coming off the bench and being a scorer for that second unit. So we're going to have to see how his value transpires and how it opens up in these coming weeks. Moving on. I think the Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley discussion is actually a little bit more straightforward because I have been saying since the play-in season that you can't have two bigs out there that can't shoot. The mistake that we made this last offseason into this year was assuming that Evan Mobley was going to be able to shoot. Interestingly enough, he showed glimpses this season that he actually can shoot. Once again, back to Mobley, I think the ceiling is extremely high for Mobley. I think that he could go out and be a top echelon player in this league as far as a two-way guy. It's all about the mindset for me for Mobley. If he's aggressive, if he's confident, and he's knocking down threes, he could get into that rhythm. We saw a little bit this year. Not a sustained run, not a consistent run, but we saw that he could be a little bit lethal from the three-point line. Allen, flipping over to him, I think that there's a lot of good things to say about Jarrett Allen. He kind of propped this team up this year when everyone else went down with injuries. Of course, he gets injured in the playoffs. There's some questions about his toughness for 2 years in a row now, regardless of how you feel about the injury. If you think that the injury was catastrophic, if he could have done more to be able to play, however you interpret that. I'm not really in the business of interpreting that because if the guy can't play, I'm assuming he can't play. Now, if you're out there, I'm assuming that you should be criticized. That's my rule. If you're on the court, I should be able to criticize you. If you're off the court, at the end of the day, they haven't been transparent with injuries for forever, especially in Cleveland, whether it's the Cavs, whether it's the Browns. Allen's been on a good contract, though. Definitely is playing above his value. That's the tough part about moving Allen for me, even though I think that's probably the offseason move they go with, actually. Unless the DG rumors are 100% true, then they're going to have to move DG if Donovan agrees to an extension. If Donovan doesn't agree to an extension, we're in hot water, in my opinion. So I think that you kind of quell the tensions there, sign Don to an extension. If you want to shop DG and Allen, I think that you have every right to do so. I don't think that there's all these untouchable pieces on this roster like people were saying a year ago. I heard people in last May saying that there's 5 or 6 pieces on this roster that are untouchable. Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Mobley, Allen, Okoro's untouchable. No. This is a whole new reset. If you want to shop Darius Garland, if you want to shop Jarrett Allen, be my guest. I think Mobley is a lock to stay. I'll be thoroughly surprised if they moved him. I think Donovan is a lock to stay if he wants to. If he doesn't want to, he's going to be moved. You can't go into the season with him uncommitted. That would be stupid. Stupid. So do you look around? Maybe the Pelicans are interested in a Jarrett Allen. I know that the Los Angeles Lakers have been interested in a rim protector, but at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, what can you get back? If you can't get something back that makes sense, unfortunately, you can't shop a guy. That's why it's like, yeah, does Ingram maybe not make a whole lot of sense? But as far as when you're looking at trades this offseason, he makes sense vastly more than a lot of what these other teams have to offer. The Lakers don't have anyone to offer, in my opinion. The Spurs don't really have anyone to offer. Like, yeah, you could get pieces here and there, but picks don't really do anything for this team. The Pelicans might have the most appeasing offer for one of our pieces, and if you feel like it's a move that could make you better for this next season with a Donovan Mitchell guarantee that he's going to be back, it's something you're going to have to consider. It's not like Altman is going to be do not disturb the whole offseason. Oh, lose my number. At least that's my opinion. But we're going to see coming up. More videos will be made. We're going to get into the trade machine. We're going to see who makes sense. We're going to see what players can be added to this roster composition in order for there to be a true offensive identity outside of Donovan Mitchell, please score. That's 2 years in a row now, guys. And I get it. There might be some part of the conversation where Donovan has to get other people involved. It's very difficult for me to fault him because of how good he played and how bad everyone else played. But if you're not enhancing the guys around you, your level of greatness is capped to me. And that's nothing. I just think that's a true statement. That's no disrespect. That's not hating. At the end of the day, if you could plug and play pieces that make more sense for a team-oriented game on offense, for a team-oriented game on defense, it's something that's going to be explored this offseason. But with that all being said, I appreciate you guys hanging around to the end, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.